everyone. Today on Always and Forever, we have one of my absolute favorite people in the entire world, my forever Miss Florida, but she's also an amazing mentor and friend to me and such a world changer. It's Michaela McLean, and I'm so excited for you all to hear from her.
Yay! Hey!
So can you share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what made you decide to compete?
Yes, absolutely. So I am from Claremont, Florida. I've been born and raised here my entire life. I'm an eighth generation Floridian, so my Florida roots run deep. I'm part of a family of fifth generation of citrus growers, and I just have so much love for the state of Florida. So that kind of led into one of my reasons to compete. I always knew it was a dream of mine to compete on the Miss America stage one day. But before I became Miss Florida, I was Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen in 2014. And is actually through the mentorship of Elizabeth and Mary Catherine Fechtel, who are also forever Miss Florida's Outstanding Teens, that really inspired me to get involved in this program. I just saw how much it sharpened them as a whole person, especially in the area of interviews and just becoming more of a poised individual. And I knew that that would be just a really great program for me to be involved in, to kind of have that competitive edge in the performing arts industry and any job that I'd step foot in. So I can honestly say I am a changed person because of the organization, both teen and miss. And I'm so thankful that I was able to compete, because now it's led me to my dream job of Miss Florida.
So looking back, what was your absolute favorite part of your year as Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen?
Oh my gosh. I kind of feel like it was a decade ago, even though it was like 5 or 6 years ago. But I got to be under the mentorship of Miss Florida 2014, Tori Cohen, who's one of my best friends till this day. And now I get to share the Miss Florida sisterhood. But I have to say, besides spending the whole year with her, because it really just felt like I was hanging out with my best friend the whole year, I'd have to say going into, what'd you say?
Felt this year with you. So
Exactly. It's just the best, it's like two best friends getting to like represent the best state in the world. But I would have to say one of the highlights of the whole year as teen was going into hospitals. I know that really greatly impacted me. I was 16 years old, and just to be able to use the crown and sash and bring in just encouragement and positivity to Children's Miracle Network kids in hospitals was really impactful for me. I remember thinking how much power the title held, that I was able to be an agent of just positivity and encouragement and change. And so going into the hospitals was so great. And then just having so many community service appearances every weekend. I was able to, honestly don't know how I did it, but I was preparing for my freshman year of college. So I was a senior in high school. And while I was managing all of these college visits, I was trying to do community service on the side and travel the state. And I just look back on it and I'm like, that was honestly a blast. Like, I had so much fun. And the job just opened up so much opportunity for me to prepare for Miss Florida as well. And I'll never forget, in my Miss Florida interview, they asked, how has being a teen prepared you for this? And I could genuinely just say, like, I got to look up to so many Miss Floridas growing up and see how they use this job. And now I can use what they've taught me and take it to another level and personalize it. And so that's been really cool, is just the mentorship from a young age.
yeah, for sure. I know that I've had the best year hanging out with you, and I mean, really all of the misses, even during competition. I mean, all the teams, we genuinely look up to you guys. And I remember watching Miss America this past December, and all of us teens were like, oh my gosh, those are our misses. And they're such girl bosses, they are go-getters, and those are the type of people that we want to be like when we get older. So it's so cool to watch that.
No, it is. And I remember going to Miss America in 2014. And it's so funny because I would look at the Miss candidates just like you did. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're so old and mature and beautiful. And like, they have it just going on. Like, they really are about to run the world. And then when I was at Miss America this past December, I was like, you remember 5 years ago when like you looked at Miss Florida, Miss Mississippi, Miss Kentucky, and you're like, those girls are seriously like world changers. And now I'm here. It was just this weird, just kind of whirlwind, but so awesome.
Yeah. And so sort of talking about Miss America, you competed this past December. I was able to watch the audience, and it was the
So
coolest thing
fun.
to watch. My favorite part was probably watching your talent.
Aw.
What was the best part of that whole experience in December competing?
Yeah, oh my gosh, so many great things happen just in those 8 days that you're there. I mean, it is truly like hit the ground running. You fly in, and it was in Connecticut this year. So I went from 80-degree weather to 23-degree weather, and it was just so crazy to like be there and know like this is happening. These are my 8 days at Miss America. It only happens once. But honestly, like to meet so many different girls with so many different professions and desires and dreams is really one of the greatest learning experiences you'll get throughout that whole week. You know, you're around future scientists and doctors and lawyers and artists, and actually in the beginning of the whole week they divided us into our different majors of what we're studying. So I was in the arts and media category, and then you had business, you had STEM, and all these different categories of education. And so it was really cool to actually be with all these other states in the arts and media group. And I'm looking over, and Miss George is there, and Texas and Kansas. And it was just honestly so empowering in itself to be around all these artists and just women in musical theater and in media and public relations. And that was really cool. It was like all of us different states now in this subcategory. And we all just kind of encouraged each other in our own profession. And, you know, that was the best part of it, is saying like, we each have different strengths, different talents and abilities, but we can now just motivate and empower one another and really just be each other's biggest cheerleaders. And so I loved kind of having that moment of saying, oh my gosh, I'm like with my girls. It's like our little own squad within all these different professions. And now we just have the incredible privilege of seeing how one another are going to use their state titles for the next phase of their life. And that's really exciting to just be all these state cheerleaders and see how they're going to use this momentum as a platform for the next big thing.
Yeah, it's an amazing stepping stone to have, and you're able to grow through so much, whether it's competing or when you capture the title, both really grow you as a person.
Totally.
So as Miss Florida, you're able to travel across the country, across the state, and you've done some country stuff too.
The country too, totally.
There are so many amazing organizations, and one of them is your social impact initiative, Brave and Beautiful. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to start Brave and Beautiful, and how you've been able to take it, really across the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So Brave and Beautiful actually trails back to my Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen days, which I don't really share with a lot because my platform when I was Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen was called Eat to Compete, and it was a nutritional awareness initiative all about fueling your body with the right foods to make sure that you can perform to your very best. But honestly, my Brave and Beautiful platform started when I was 16, and I was introduced to social media. That's kind of like when Instagram and Facebook and even Snapchat, not so much Snapchat, but really Instagram and Facebook were really starting to blow up. TikTok was not a thing. But, you know, I started to really kind of find my self-worth and just who I was in my profile. And I started to see, you know, how so many girls that were getting likes and comments, like that started to mean a lot to me. I'm like, I want that, you know, and it started to just gauge all my self-worth in it. And so it started to become an issue. I really started to struggle with comparison and jealousy and envy. So many young women can just go immediately on Instagram and Facebook and see the highlight reel of everyone else's lives and immediately compare it to what they're going through. And just to be totally honest and transparent, it's been so hard for me, even in quarantine, being kind of low key and just resting and not having much going on. I mean, it's so easy to just compare myself to women that still have jobs and that have all this energy and momentum, and they're just boss babes, and they're using this time to, you know, get all these extra side hustles done. And I'm still struggling with it to this day. And so it really started when I was 16. And then I started to actually use Brave and Beautiful as my testimony. I've been able to travel all across the world to Nairobi, Kenya, Dominican Republic, Oaxaca, Mexico, Guatemala. I've even been able to get former Miss Floridas involved, like Mary Catherine Fechtel and Tori Cohen, and they've been able to jump on board with my vision. And the whole premise of Brave and Beautiful is just to empower and strengthen young women in their true worth and identity. It's not in the number of likes and comments that you get on social media. It's rather in who you were created to be, that you were created on purpose for a purpose. You're destined for great things. And it's really just that reminder to young women that you do not need to find your worth and identity in the number of likes and comments you get. So it's now a message through the Miss Florida platform that has been able to go not only statewide, but nationwide and worldwide, which is really cool. And just the title of Miss Florida has opened up so much opportunity for me in schools and young women organizations and churches, and that's been really amazing to just catapult off of everything that I've done here with Miss Florida into the next phase of life. But I know, Hannah, you've been able to join me on a talk with Brave and Beautiful, and that's what's been awesome, is we can get all of these guest speakers that have been Miss Floridas and former Miss Florida's outstanding teens to share their testimonies as well. So Miss Florida has really blessed me in taking Brave and Beautiful to the next level.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that. I loved coming with you and being able to sort of share my story of how I've struggled with that stuff, the same stuff that you struggled with, and just showing that everyone can relate to it. It's not just, you're not alone in it.
Totally. And it's crazy. The more that we continue to have just that open and honest conversation with young women, the more they begin to share. So because I first struggled with comparison and jealousy on Instagram, it's crazy now that TikTok is blown up, and that's really like the main form of social media, how young women, especially the ages of like 6th grade to middle high school, how they're just sharing like, oh my gosh, no, TikTok is a really hard platform for me to get on because everyone's trying to prove something. And sometimes it's just overwhelming. We weren't created to handle all of that social pressure. So, this platform is really never not going to be relevant because social media is exploding. And so I'm excited to see where it's going to head and how many young women we can continue to reach even outside of the job of Miss Florida.
For sure. So sort of speaking life after Miss Florida, what are you hoping to do after your year of service?
Yeah, that is the golden question. So as you know, I don't know if you can hear the crickets in the back. I'm outside right now. But as you know, Miss Florida has now been extended. So we don't have a competition this year. It's now next year. And that kind of gives me some extra time just being Miss Florida and enjoying all of the perks and opportunities that come with this incredible job. But I am job searching. Miss Florida has shown me that I love to be on set and on camera. And I love hosting and just kind of being an on-camera personality. So I hope to go into the TV industry after this. I got a double major in dance and public relations from Alabama. So hopefully I can utilize that as well. But I think TV is just the desire of my heart right now. And so we're looking for TV stations to hire me. If anyone knows any, let me know. But yeah, I think that's really the next step. I would love to move out of state. I love Florida, but I think the Lord is calling me somewhere else right after this. But who knows? I could be here a little longer. So I'm in the job process of applying right now, and stay tuned because that might be the next couple weeks or months. So it's exciting.
I'm excited for you. I know you're going to go on to do so many amazing, great things.
So sweet.
I like to ask a specific set of questions to every guest that's on Forever. And the first one is, who is one of your favorite forever Miss Floridas and or Miss Americas?
Ooh, great question. Oh my gosh. I honor and just look up to the Miss Florida so much. I mean, all of them. It's like so hard to pick one because I feel like they're all my really great friends. And a lot of them are like big sisters to me. I don't have a big sister, and so they are my big sisters. Goodness, to name a few, I feel like I can't name one. I'd have to say Kelly Keith, Laura Rutledge, Allison Krieger Walsh, Mary Catherine, Tori, Taylor, Sarah, they're all amazing. Courtney Sexton. I know Mary Catherine and Tori have been like life mentors to me. And so I'd say they're like very close big sisters in a sense, because we've been able to go on mission trips together. We've been to Guatemala together, and then Mary Catherine and I actually met one another back when we danced at Shooting Stars. And then we got to go to Honduras when I was 10 years old. And it's crazy. I remember we were zip lining in Honduras, and she was just starting to go for Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen. And I remember looking around and I'm like, how cool would it be if one day we got to be Miss Florida sisters? Like, could you imagine? And it was just like a pipe dream. And here we are, and it totally came true. So yeah, I mean, I just honor so many of them. And then the Miss Florida's Outstanding Teens, as you know, and have interviewed us in the last couple weeks, I mean, they're just such go-getters, even just at a young age. And I can see it in you. You know, you're just starting to go into college, but you now have kind of that competitive edge, and just maturity and just being a role model and kind of just having your stuff together and making sure that, like you go into this next season prepared and poised. And it's just so cool to see how both of these jobs, Miss Florida and Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, really prepare you. So I don't know, it's so hard to pick. I just love them all. I really do.
I know it's always hard to pick one. So when you were competing for teen, what was your favorite area of competition? And now when you competed for Miss, what was your favorite area of competition for that?
Yeah, so I love talent. I've been a dancer since I honestly can't even remember, since 7 years old. So actually, initially, I saw pageants as an opportunity to just dance again and have a new audience and a new set of eyes, see my dance and really kind of perfect my performance aspect of it. But I would have to say talent was my favorite as a teen. And going to Miss America's Outstanding Teen was a dream come true to perform my talent on that stage. And then when I became Miss Florida, it still was a dream come true, even more, to dance on the Miss America stage. But I'd have to say now as Miss Florida, interview is one of my favorite parts, because this job has prepared me so much in that area. And just being able to share my heart and really my plan as a state title holder was something that I really looked forward to at Miss America. We trained so much. Allison is an incredible interview mentor and coach. And, she's a former Miss Florida. And so she really just knows how to truly prepare you for Miss America. And it was really cool to be under her mentorship going into Miss America, because I knew that I was more than prepared. It wasn't even that I was like prepared a little bit. I was just so more than prepared. And so that really was my favorite part at Miss America, was able to just share my heart, my dream, and my plan if I were to become Miss America. So it's crazy how it changes when you get older, but talent has always been my favorite.
That's so cool. You're one of the most amazing dancers that I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. I haven't danced in forever, so I got to get back to it.
Totally like tearing up as you performed on the Miss America stage. It was just the coolest moment, and I know that
thank you.
So what's your best piece of pageant advice for girls who are going after the job of Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen and Miss Florida?
Best pageant advice, great question. I would honestly have to say it really is just like, do not compare yourself. And you kind of have to keep those blinders on and who you were created to be. And that was kind of my mantra going into Miss America, was that you're created on purpose for a purpose. And you have to believe that because you were created on purpose, you have all of these different talents, abilities, and strengths that classify you as so different than your competitor. And you have to be confident in that. It's so easy in the pageant setting and even in a competition setting in general. Sorry, that's my dad. He's cleaning. A pageant setting and competition in general, that you can look at what everyone else has. And going into Miss America, it's so easy to say, wow, she won talent and interview at her state, and she has 2 majors and a doctorate, and she's just a go-getter. She's working for like one of the greatest corporations in all of America. And I mean, it's so easy to see what you don't have in other young women around you. And I'm the oldest of 4 girls. I've grown up with little sisters, and even comparing myself to my little sisters. And I really do believe the Lord has just shown me that when you focus on all that you were given, all that you were created to be, you become your greatest cheerleader. And there's nothing like empowering your own self and saying, you know what? I was created on purpose for a purpose. I was given all of this stuff, like talents and strength and abilities to just be Michaela McLean. And now I'm going to use that and I'm going to showcase that, and no one else can replicate that. And yeah, I would just have to encourage young women to really focus in on that. A lot of girls will ask me as Miss Florida, like, what's one piece of advice? And it really is, at the end of the day, don't compare yourself, because comparison is the greatest thief of joy. And comparison is one thing that will immediately rob yourself of all that excites you and all that you were created to be. So really just have those blinders on, know who you are, and get excited about who you are, because you are your own kind of beautiful, and that is something that the world needs.
Yes, for sure. Every girl needs to hear that advice. That's such a piece of advice. So how can people keep up with you on social media as Miss Florida and as Michaela McLean?
Yes, so you can follow my journey as Miss Florida, my never-ending journey, which I love it, at Miss America FL. Would love to follow you back and stay more in touch there. I'm super active on my Instagram, so if anyone has any more questions or follow-ups, I definitely answer there. And then my personal Instagram is at Michaela McLean for kind of life outside of the crown too. But then also, if you just want some encouragement each and every single day, especially in the area of young women identity, you can follow Be Brave and Beautiful. And we post on there. We have a podcast as well at Be Brave and Beautiful. So all of those little shameless plugs. You can follow me on so many different things at the moment, because as you know, social media is a big part of your year, but we'd love to follow back.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so great catching up with you. I mean, I feel like I talk to you every week, so this was just really fun to be able to
I know.
in this formal setting, and I know that so many people are going to be encouraged by what you had to say.
Thank you. Thanks, Hannah, for doing this. And I just have to harp on you, because obviously you're the current Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, and my little sister. But seriously, I mean, you have just gone above and beyond with this year, and just your heart for the state, your heart for service, and just your heart for young women and seeing them maximize their potential is truly so inspiring for not only your generation, but for me and all of the Miss Floridas as well. And so you really are such an ideal Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, and the state is so honored to have you even longer, because seriously, like, I love seeing just the fire and the passion that you have to make a difference, and it inspires me every single day. So thank you for what you do, and never stop it.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. You're like the best encourager ever.
Thank you. So sweet.
I will talk to you later.
Yay! Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.